for tonight, I was like, mindset call tonight. Let's do something different. Let's switch it up a little bit. And what I mean by that is here's what I mean. We always talk about success. We always talk about how to make a lot of money, how to go out there and be successful, how to rank up, how to have success within your trading. And that is amazing. I think that's something that we absolutely need to talk about. But guess what? Just as important is seeing what people who are failing are doing, and you could learn just as much from the people that don't have the results that you want as you can from the people that do. And I like to see what the people who are just losing, the people that are just failing over and over and over, what are they doing? Do less of that and do more of what the people who are winning are doing. Obviously, common sense, but at the end of the day, common sense, not common. So, what I wanted to do is I was like, okay, what are the biggest reasons why most people fail? What are the biggest reasons why most people fail? And I came up with a list of 12. We could have made this list 5, we could have made this list 20, but for today, I came up with a list of 12 major reasons why. Like, I'm a big patterns guy. And what I mean by patterns is I'm like, what are these guys doing? How are these guys thinking? What actions are these guys taking? And why are these guys losing over and over and over and over and over? And this is the list that I came up with. And like I said, the whole point of this is to observe the masses and do the opposite. Reality is, most people aren't making the money that you want. Most people don't have the freedom that you want. Most people get divorced. Most people are not 85% of people that have a job hate their job, right? There's some great jobs out there, but for a lot of people, they aren't happy with what it is that they're doing. They're not happy, they're not healthy, they're not wealthy. So let's observe what they're doing and then do the opposite. That's the whole point of the call tonight, guys. So let's jump into it. Let me go ahead and type out some of these things. So, number 1, and this is in no particular order, by the way. This is just the order that it came to mind. But number 1 is this, guys. I'm going to rewrite number 1. All right, number 1 is fear. Specifically, fear of failure is probably the biggest one. Business-wise, fear of rejection. I would say these are the top 2. There's a lot of things that people are afraid of, but ultimately, that's the number 1 thing that holds people back. And drop a 777 in the chat if you feel this. Drop a 777 in the chat if you're like, yo, you know what you should be doing, but maybe you're just scared. Or you were scared at one point, and that was holding you back big time. Maybe you overcame some of those fears now. But either way, drop a 777 in the chat if you're like, yo, I feel that. Fear, I feel that on a daily basis. And I do feel that on a daily basis. I'm human. Sometimes we look at these top leaders, top earners, and they look like they're fearless. But you know what I learned? I learned that courage, being courageous, is not the absence of fear, but it's the action in spite of the fear. Being able to look fear in the face, take action anyways, and then from there, that fear tends to evaporate. That fear tends to go away. The more action that you're taking, the more the fear actually tends to go away. The less action that you take, the more you actually become scared of the thing, the less like you are to do the thing, and then it's this vicious cycle. So what is it that you're scared of? You know, a lot of people haven't sat down and identified the things that they're scared of, and it's those things that they're scared of that are holding them back, and it will hold them back forever. But when you put a name and a face to the fear, and you realize how stupid that fear is, then you can overcome the fear. And so, what are you scared of? Are you scared to fail? Are you scared of rejection? Are you scared of losing money? Are you scared of, what is it that you're scared of? Put a name to it. Put a face to it. Then you can begin to overcome that fear. And the answer to fear, guys, Here's the answer. I'm going to give you different answers because I have different perspectives. But there's two ways to face your fear. Number one is to ease in, and number two is to dive in. What does that mean? If I'm going to jump in the ocean, I could kind of tiptoe in, or I could just dive in. And some people do better with just tiptoeing into the ocean because they don't want to be overwhelmed with that feeling of cold. And voluntary, gradual exposure to the thing that you're scared of is curative. That's a quote from Dr. Jordan Peterson, one of the GOATs when it comes to psychology. He said, voluntary, meaning you have to be okay, you have to volunteer yourself. Voluntary, gradual exposure to the thing that you're scared of is curative. So that's that ease in method. And then the dive in is you just say, screw it. And then you just jump in and you just face the fear immediately. Either way, those are the only two ways for you to face those fears. Now, another thing about fear is this. I love the idea of radical acceptance. I'm going to say it one more time. Radical acceptance. When you accept that you're going to fail, when you accept that you're going to get rejection, when you accept that losing money is a part of the process, then that fear goes away. The only reason why you're scared of it is because you are scared of what's going to happen if it happens. But when you realize that it's part of the game and you accept that, then you're able to take the action despite of the fear and overcome it. And you know what's crazy? It was 100 times worse in your mind than it was in reality. It's crazy how our mind is just constantly playing these worst case scenarios in our head over and over and over and over. In reality, if you share this idea, if you share the academy with someone and they're like, hey, no, and they're just not interested, who cares? Like, it's not a big deal at all, right? And you just, radical acceptance. You need to accept the fact that the people who've succeeded the most are also the ones that have failed the most. You have to accept the fact that you're going to get rejection. You're going to have people that love this idea and think this is the best thing ever, and you're going to have people that think that this is the stupidest thing that they've ever seen. Who cares? I love soccer. I'm not going to go out there and convince every single person in the world that soccer is the best sport in the world. Who cares? If they like soccer, amazing. If not, amazing. I'm not going to take things personal. Overcome your fear. Identify what your fear is. Accept that these things are normal, and then you can start taking action towards it and then overcome it, and then you can essentially release the fear. Release the energy behind the fear so that when these things happen, it's just not a big deal. Okay? Now, let's move on. Number 2, the second thing that I got for you guys tonight is drifting. One of my favorite books of all time is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. I don't know if you've ever read it, but in that book, one of the core themes is on this idea of drifting. And he basically says that losers, people that just lose over and over and over, people that just fail over and over and over, they are big when it comes to drifting. And you could think of drifting as a state of aimlessness. You have no definite purpose. You have no strong reason why you're doing this. You have no clear goals. And you're just floating. You're just going with the flow. And wherever it is that life takes you, and let me tell you guys something. If you don't know where you want to be 5 years from now, guess what? You're already there. If you don't know where you want to be 10 years from now, you're already there. Because you can't go somewhere that you haven't really planned to go. And so, what's the opposite? What's the opposite of drifting? The opposite of drifting would be having a white-hot burning desire, knowing exactly what it is that you want, having clear goals. Those clear goals are going to give you clear directions on daily methods of operation of what you need to be doing on a daily basis, and just having a purpose behind what it is that you're doing. And we talk about your why over and over and over. Your why should make you cry. You need to have a strong reason why you're doing this. Why are you doing this, and who are you doing this for? And people need to be reminded more than they need to be taught. People need to be reminded the fact that that's the name of the game. The people that have a emotionally charged, strong reason why they're doing it are ultimately going to take action where other people will not. And I understand that sometimes it's difficult to figure out why you're doing what you're doing, but take a day. Take a day and write down everything that you really, 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 really want. Or if you're having trouble with that, take a day and write down everything that you absolutely hate about your situation. I hated every single job that I ever had, and I had to get to the point where I said, hey, I'm going to find a way or make the way, because I just hated my job. I hated my life. I hated my situation at that point in time. And that gave me unlimited motivation to do whatever I had to do for however long I had to do it in order to get to where I wanted to go. Drifting. Do not be that guy. Do not be a drifter. Let's move on. So we got number 3. Number 3 is a negative mental attitude, which is obviously the opposite is having a positive mental attitude. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but we all know people that are constantly complaining, constantly blaming, constantly looking at the negative side of a thing rather than the positive side of a thing. And at the end of the day, everything has a positive side and a negative side to it. It's the law of polarity. There's a good side to something, and there's a bad side to something. You take a look at a coin, you have heads, you have tails. You get to decide whatever it is that you focus on. What do I mean? What I mean is, let's say I lose a trade. I could look at that and get pissed off and frustrated, or I could say, hey, that's part of the game. I have to be able to lose in order to win, and not worry about it whatsoever in any way, shape, or form, and not have it affect me in any way, shape, or form. I could have someone tell me that this business is the craziest thing ever and give me some extremely negative comment about what I do, and I could say, I could get pissed off, I could get frustrated, I could complain, I could blame, I could do all these things, or I could just laugh. I could literally just find it funny that this person, and not laugh at them like in a negative way and laugh in their face, but just laugh mentally in my own head, just like, yo, that's hilarious. Like, that's actually funny that this person thinks that this is crazy. Which is normal, obviously, because we're observing the masses. We're doing the opposite. We're doing something completely outside of the box. So obviously we're going to have a ton of people say, well, what we're doing is not normal. And just find it funny, right? And so everything has two sides to it. I could lose a large part of my organization and I could freak out because I had people quit in my business. Or I could say, awesome, that makes room for the people who are going to take this thing serious. Awesome. I messed up as a leader, and because of that, I lost my team, and that's an opportunity for me to get better. And I would say that the vast majority of people, their attitude is so poor, so negative. And even myself, I'm a human being. I find myself, having negative thoughts, having negative emotions, and it's obviously normal to a degree. But man, it blows my mind how people could have the perfect day, be in such a good situation, but because they lack perspective and they don't know that it could be a million times worse in all ways, in terms of their happiness, their health, their wealth. Maybe you're not where you want to be, but just living in America puts you ahead of the vast majority of people. Just that one thing alone. Man, it's crazy. I was watching this documentary earlier today, and I don't know if you guys are into boxing or the UFC, but this last weekend I was watching this massive super fight between Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. It was crazy. I don't know if anyone actually watched that fight as well, but it just got me interested in the story of Francis, because he was like shoveling dirt in Cameroon when he was 10, like working for his family to make money, to be able to provide for his family. And then his story of how he actually came from Cameroon to Europe for a better life, and he had to cross the Sahara Desert 7 different times and got deported 7 different times before finally making it, before finally getting his chance to start training at 20-something years old for MMA. And his whole story is absolutely insane. I can guarantee you it's 100 times harder than anything that anybody has got to go through on this call. But here we are, complaining that the business isn't perfect, that we lost a trade, that whatever. There's just no good reason to complain. Even if something bad happens, I'm not here saying, hey, put your head in the sand, it's all sunshine and rainbows. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is whatever your situation is, you can look at it and you can make it worse, or you can make it better by the way that you view things, by the way that you use your perception at the end of the day. So you take a look at all the top earners in the company, and they have a completely different attitude. They look at every single situation and they say, hey, how can I make the best of this situation regardless of what the situation is? And they're super, super positive no matter what. No matter what's going on. Doesn't matter if numbers are going backwards business-wise. It doesn't matter if they're losing trades. It doesn't matter what's going on around them. You can't control what you can't control. And it's crazy how the one thing that you can control, your perception and your attitude, most people allow the world around them to dictate what they're thinking and how they're feeling. Why don't you change the way that you feel and change the way that you think, and in turn, that'll change your results and change the world around you. So that's number 3. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is a lack of accountability. Accountability. These things go hand in hand. But 80% of people blame their situation, their circumstances, their upline, downline, sideline, crossline, their parents, their trauma, their upbringing, their this, their that. And they have zero accountability and responsibility for the results within their life. But the moment that you blame people, places, situations, circumstances outside of your control, you take away power from the one person who has the ability to change your life, which is who? Which is you. So, what should you do? You already know the answer. You should take 100% accountability and responsibility for the results in your life, good or bad. And the moment that you do that, then you have the ability to change. And that's number 4. Let's move on. Let's move on to number 5. Number 5, the 5th big reason why most people fail is because of unrealistic expectations. They think that it's a get rich quick and easy when it comes to these skill sets, when it comes to this business. Everybody wants things quick and everybody wants things easy when it comes to making money. And not just making money, when it comes to everything. We live in a what's the word that I'm looking for? We live in a society where people want things now, right? And of course, it's crazy. Every time you level up, you're always going to want to get to that next level. There's always another level, and you're always going to want it faster. And that's fine. Like, obviously, you want to move with speed. You want to move with urgency. But my best piece of advice for the people that want things quick and easy is, A, that's not realistic. So you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be disappointed. You're not going to have fun with this thing because you're not going to, you're just not going to have fun with it. You're not going to have fun with this thing. So I would say this. You need to change your expectation. Thank God I had good mentors that told me when I got involved in this that this is going to be a 2 to 4 year plan to become financially free. That this is going to take years, but it's going to be worth it at the end of the day. It's not going to be easy. It could be simple, but it's going to be worth it. And those were the expectations that were set with me from day one. And that is a large reason why I'm here. And it's very easy to set an expectation at the beginning, and it's very difficult to change an expectation later on. So for you that are trying to share this business and grow this business with other people, understand that you need to set the proper expectations, keywords, from the beginning. And if you messed up the expectation, you need to call them right after this call and say, hey, yo, my bad. I made a big mistake because I think I made this seem a little bit easier than this really was, a little bit faster than it really was. In all reality, bro, this is a 2 to 4 year plan. This is a long-term plan. This is going to take a good amount of work. And the reality is we're taking a 40-year plan, work for 40 years, and then retire and shrinking it down into 2 to 4 years. You're going to have the same amount of ups and downs, but in a compressed period of time. We call it the emotional roller coaster. Don't let your highs get too high and your lows get too low. Those are the types of expectations that I set with a new person that I'm talking to. So that's that. Let's move on. Number 6 is no self-discipline. And no self-discipline. And the way that I describe no self-discipline is giving up what you want most for what you want now. Most people do this every single day. They give up what they want most, the freedom, the financial freedom, the time freedom, the location freedom, for what they want now. Same thing when it comes to their health. Most people give up what they want now, being in great shape. What they want most, being in great shape for what they want now, which is, eating whatever they want, not exercising at all, whatever the case may be. You guys get what I'm trying to say. You have to reverse that and give up what you want now for what you want most. If you do the easy things in life now, then your life's going to be hard later on. If you do the hard things now, ironically, your life is going to be easier later on. And so when I have to give up the things that I want most, when I choose to give up the things that I want now for the things that I want most, it's easy for me to do because I know that my life is actually going to be easier later on. And I just flip that paradigm on its head. And rather than thinking, oh, let me just, do the things I shouldn't be doing now because I want that instant gratification now, that's going to make my life harder later on. And I associate massive pain to that. And when you associate massive pain to the thing that you have going on, and you associate massive pleasure to the things that you should be doing, guess what you're going to do? You're going to start to have a lot more self-discipline within yourself. So that's number 6. Let's move on. Number 7. 7 is inconsistency. Inconsistency. A large reason why people fail is because they have these short bursts of energy. They get on a call like this, they go to an event, they get excited for a day, they hop on Go Live for hours and hours and hours for that day, and then they don't do it for the rest of the week, rest of the month. They reach out to 20, 50, 100 people for the business in one day, and then they don't do anything else for the rest of the week. They don't do anything else for the rest of the month. You have to have some level of consistency. When people say, hey, how much work should I do? My honest answer is whatever you could be consistent with. I would rather have you be consistent with an hour a day of working on stuff with IM, which, by the way, if you think of a part-time job, that's 20, 25 hours a week. So an hour a day, that's not even part-time. That's like super, super spare time. I would rather have someone do that because if they're doing an hour a day for 30 days, I know for a fact they're going to get some type of a result. They're going to be moving the ball forward. They're going to be inching towards their goal. And then what happens? You build that muscle of consistency and you're able to eventually do more and eventually get more results, and that compound effects takes place. I love the book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. That changed my perspective on how things work. And eventually, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, while everybody else has moved backwards like crazy, you are 2 times, 5 times, 10 times ahead of them. Why? Because of your consistency, number 7. Number 8 is a lack of coachability. Uncoachable. And there's many, many reasons why people are uncoachable. Maybe it's because they're arrogant. They think that they know it all. Maybe it's because they're just not paying attention and they're just not listening. There's a lot of different reasons for this, but one of my favorite quotes about this is from Bob Proctor, and he said something along the lines of, you have to have a certain amount of confidence, not too much and not too little. If you're overconfident, you'll think that you don't have to learn. You'll think that you know it all. If you're not confident enough, then you won't believe that you have the ability to learn. And so I'll also say this as well. The best part about this business is you have people that know the way, have gone the way, are willing to show you the way. In fact, they're financially incentivized to make sure that you have success. So the mentors that you have are only going to tell you things that are going to help you. They're never going to tell you anything that's going to hurt you, because in order for them to level up, they have to help you level up, which is completely backwards from any other job or any other business where you're creating competition for yourself or whatever the case is. And so I'll say this too. If you're that type of person that's super arrogant and think that you know it all, here's the thing. This business is its own animal. If you've had success in other industries, amazing. That's great. But that's not probably going to help you here, because this is completely different than everything else. So you have to be in student mode. I have to be in student mode because things are constantly changing. This is a completely different game than anything else that's out there. It's similar to certain things, but it's completely different at the same time. And we have to be willing to be coached. One of my favorite quotes from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan said this. He said that my number one skill, out of all the skills that Michael Jordan had, he said my number one skill was the fact that I was coachable and I was willing to learn. No. I just messed up the quote. He said something along, how did he say it? He said, I was coachable, teachable, and I was aggressive to learn. I love that. How aggressive are you with your learning? How aggressive are you with your growing? How aggressive are you with hopping on Go Live every single day? How aggressive are you with doing personal growth every single day? How aggressive are you with hopping on these 6 p.m. calls where you have people that have the results that you want, that are literally telling you, hey, do this, and that's all you have to do to win? Most people don't want to grow at all, don't want to learn at all. They're just uncoachable. Number 8. Now let's go to number 9. Number 9 is overcomplicating. One might call this overthinking. One might call this indecision. There's many different words for this. But at the end of the day, what we do is not easy, like I said earlier, but it's very, 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 very simple. And if you're hopping on Go Live every single day, whether it's trading, whether it's social media, whether it's e-commerce, and you're genuinely putting in the work every single day to actually learn the skills, then it's impossible for you to not learn. And if you're learning and growing, eventually you're going to get to the results that you want. If you are sharing the vision with people every single day on the business side of things, and you're exposing new people to what we do, then it is physically impossible for you to not grow this business. And you do those things together, that's all you have to do. So don't overcomplicate, don't overthink. Keep it stupid simple, because at the end of the day, it is. Can we make this complicated? Sure, we can make this thing as complicated as we want. But when you keep it dummy simple and you have a clear vision of exactly what you need to do every single day, that's when you're going to do it. But if you're overcomplicating, overthinking, making this harder than it needs to be, and you're just not clear on what you need to do, then of course you're not going to do it. Keep it simple. Number 9. We got 5 minutes left. 10 is negative associations. I'm spelling this wrong. Associations. Cool. Negative associations. Here's the question. We all know that you become the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with most. That's an absolute fact. So the question becomes, who do you need to spend less time with, and who do you need to spend more time with? It's that simple. If you are constantly surrounding yourself with people who are negative, people who don't have the results that you want, people who are making fun of you, people who just whatever, people that have no goals, people that are struggling with these 10 things that we've talked about so far, and that's all you're surrounding yourself with, no wonder you can't move forward. There are certain people that you need to cut out of your life, and yes, sometimes it might be friends and sometimes it might be family, unfortunately. And it sucks because we love these people. But at the end of the day, if they're holding you back from your purpose, from your destiny, from accomplishing from fulfilling what you need to fulfill, then you got to just let certain people go. Or at the very least, you have to have a season of separation with these people. At the very least, you have to love them from a distance and say, hey, I'm working on, I love you. I care about you. You're my family. But you're holding me back from getting to where it is that I want to go. And therefore, whatever I can do to help you, I'm here to help. I care about you. I love you. But I need to just stay away for a little bit while I go out there and accomplish my goals and my dreams so I could take care of what I need to take care of, help myself so I could eventually come back and help everybody else. So who do you need to spend less time with? And who do you need to spend more time with? The amount of time that I'm spending with people in IM is crazy, whether it be people in my business or people in the business or my mentors. I'm spending 80% of my time with those types of people. And if you're surrounded with people who have the same vision as you all day, every day, no wonder your belief is through the roof. So surround yourself with the right people. Number 10. Number 11. We got 2 more, guys. Number 11 is lack of state management. We talked about earlier how people are on this emotional roller coaster. They're letting their highs get too high and their lows get too low. I love the idea of stoicism. I love the idea of just being calm, being cool, being collected, no matter what's going on around you. If things are going good, amazing. If things are going bad, amazing. Putting in the work, regardless of how it is that you feel. Because if you can't learn how to manage your state, then you're just going to be bouncing around like a bouncy ball, just bouncing around, not going nowhere fast. So you have to learn there are certain things that you could do that can help you get into the right states in order for you to get the right action, in order for you to get the right results. Because reality is, if you're in a fearful state, you're going to take completely different action than if you're in a state of absolute certainty. We can agree on that. So you have to learn how to manage your state. Is it easy? No. But can you do it? Absolutely. So learn how to learn what triggers you in a negative way, in a positive way, and how that can actually learn what times you have the most energy, all these different things. State management is super, super important. And then number 12, we have 1 minute left. Hopefully I finish. Hopefully it doesn't get cut off. But number 12 is just quitting. Most people fail because they just quit too soon. They just didn't give enough time. And in the mind of a top earner in this industry, quitting isn't an option. Ask anybody who came in here and absolutely crushed it. They'll tell you they did not think about quitting. Sure, maybe the thought crossed their mind, but like in general, 99% of the time, it just was not an option. They were going to either make it or die. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's just the truth. Ask any top earner that you could think of, and they'll tell you the same thing 99.9% of the time. And we need to adopt their ways of thinking, guys. So that's it. Appreciate you guys for hopping on